Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been quite a while since I last uploaded, but I've been really busy. But let's not hash up on the past, and let's just instead get into today's video. So, we will be creating a simple yet elegant layout with Bootstrap 5, HTML and CSS. Before we get into the code, I'm going to show you what we will be building today. This is the layout. Now, if you are used to Bootstrap 5 or React, you'll probably understand what's going on here. I'm building this using components. The first component right here is the navigation bar or nav bar. The second component right here is a Jumbotron. This is the card section. And all you have to do is code one card, and the rest you can just copy and paste. The only difference between these cards are the images. Now, something else that's also important is, when using free resources, you should always mention the creators. In my footer section, right here, I have who the photos are by. Always mention the artists who you are using in your website, especially if it's free content. A little information right here, just some lorem ipsum dollar text as placeholder. Sign up for our newsletter, and you can actually type something in here, and you can go to subscribe. So, notice the features right here. I have buttons, another button here, a form section here, and a subscribe button right here, which actually has a little hover effect. This website is fully responsive. All I have to do is open up developer tools and you'll see. So let's go to mobile, let's go with Galaxy S5, and there we go. My navbar breaks into something called a hamburger icon, and if I press it, it opens up the navbar. I can scroll down, and now instead of 6 cards, it is a single card on the screen at a time. Again, a simple yet elegant layout. I will have the code to my GitHub repository, so if you want to copy it, by all means feel free to do that. And here we go. Simple, clean, crisp. Let's get into it. So, the first thing we have to do is just get Bootstrap. Assuming you don't want to actually download Bootstrap to your machine, that's fine. Just search get Bootstrap in whatever browser you are using, and you'll come to this website and go to get started. All you have to do is copy the style sheet into your head before all other style sheets, and this JavaScript bundle right here, and you're good to go. Now, apart from the Bootstrap style sheet, I also have my own style sheet and some Google fonts. A title, of course, album page, something simple, and here are my styles. It's quite simple. There's not a lot of styling, but you never need a lot of styling actually. Keep it simple. Let's begin. The first component we code is our nav bar. So right here is about 21 lines. Yeah. So let's get into it. The first thing we do is nav class navbar right here. So nav.navbar. Now, where am I getting this class name navbar from? Well, it's simple, from the Bootstrap website. So what Bootstrap is, it is built using Flexbox, a little CSS, a little CSS, I think React, and JavaScript. There's a lot of stuff going on in the backend that we can't see, but this stuff is really important, so follow their rules. We have a class navbar right here, and then we have a breakpoint, navbar expand medium. What is this navbar expand medium? Let me show you. Let's jump back into the web page, and let me break the screen down. Now watch. At a certain point, the navbar is going to break. There we go. And a hamburger icon pops up. The point at which the navbar breaks is expressed by this last point here, MD. It can be small, MD, large, and I believe extra large. We'll keep ours as medium. There we go. And it breaks. So from the medium breakpoint to anything smaller, the navbar will break into a hamburger icon. The next thing we have is the coloring. Notice we have navbar dark, background dark. All it does is change the color of our navbar. Let me go ahead and show you. Let me change this to navbar light, although I hate it. And there we go. See? Terrible. You can barely see it. Let me change something else to light as well. Maybe a little clearer. And there we go, home, albums, contact, about, and that is our navbar. If I break it up, there we go. That's that. Now, when you are coding and you make a mistake or you just want to go back, instead of going back and recoding everything, just hold down Control Z. It will take you back steps. It's a really cool little thing that not many people know about. So if you're coding along and you make a mistake, just Control Z, it's gone. Save everything. The next thing we do is container fluid. Well, what is a container? Well, in Bootstrap, a container is something that will span the entire width of the screen. So from the left to the right, 100% width. Notice, a navbar is 100% width. It spans from the left, right to the right. Container fluid is not 100%, it's slightly smaller. That's all you need to know. Now, the next thing we do is navbar brand. Nav brand. Can't spell apparently. Nav brand, let's just say this. Nav brand is this right here. This little thing that pops out. Look at it. Without styling, albums, contact, and about will not look like home. It will stand out a bit more because it is navbar brand. How do we create navbar brand? All you have to do is create a tag with a class of navbar brand. Give it whatever href, so a pound sign because we don't have anything to link it to, and whatever goes here will become your navbar brand. Now again, where am I getting these classes from? Again, the Bootstrap website. Let me just change the one I actually coded. Let's say company banner, and that changes company banner. Now, you may be asking yourself, why aren't I coding this from scratch? Well, it's because I really just don't want to. In the upcoming weeks, I will be doing projects from scratch, like building entire websites, not web pages. So I kind of want to take a break because I'm actually really tired. I know it's a stupid excuse, but it is reality. So I will have the link to my GitHub, my CodePen, my Instagram, and of course back to this YouTube channel because I don't know. Oh, and my LinkedIn. So if you want to check my LinkedIn account out, please feel free to do that. And yeah, let me just save that, give it a little space. This section right here, this button class navbar toggler type button blah blah blah, this will create the hamburger icon. Without it, let me just remove it. Let's save that. When I reach that breakpoint, it's just there. There's no hamburger icon. It's always just there. Notice that. If you don't want it, if you don't want a hamburger icon, you always want your nav items to display, that's completely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally enjoy having the hamburger icon, so just Control Z, I'll save that again, and the hamburger icon pops up, and if I hit it, my nav items will be hidden. But again, it's completely up to you. I'm not going through this because it is quite a bit, but anyway. Now let's get to the fun part, actually creating nav items. Collapse navbar collapse, ID navbar supported content. This is the same as this right here, navbar supported content. We create a hamburger icon and we set it to this div class right here, so they work in tangent or in synchronicity. Other words, they work in parallel to each other. They work together. I just need a little space. And the next thing we do is we create an unordered list with the class of navbar nav. MS auto, that pushes all items to the right. If I remove it, and if I save, and we go back to my full screen view, notice everything gets pushed back to the left. Right here, everything is back to the left. But if I just go back and go to MS Auto, pushes everything back to the right. How is it doing this? Well, back in Bootstrap, margin left, margin right has all been set using custom classes. So all we have to do is implement that class in our naming conventions, and boom. Instead of going into our style sheet and going ahead and saying something like margin 0 auto and getting it pushed, we don't need to do that. It's already been done. So yeah, the next thing we have to do obviously in an unordered list is create list items, which all have the class of nav item. Why does it have the class of nav item, you say? Well, again, it is Bootstrap naming conventions. It's there for a reason. Apart from this, you see I have my href with hashtag card container. Why is that? Well, if I go a little below, I believe it's in my card class right here. Card container. So if I hit card container up here, I'll be moved down. That's a cool thing. it has them they basically again work in parallel. This points to your my album section. Boom, fun. So let's close this. Once again, guys, I have a little background noise. I'll be back in a minute. A little technical difficulties, my bad. But anyway, we are back. So, second, to create an unordered list, we create a list class with nav items. Then simply a href within this, and then a class of nav link. Let's just go ahead and create one more. Li. Oh, I'm in VS Code, so I'm using Emmet abbreviations. If you aren't, you'll have to type up the whole thing. You would have to do something like li class is equal to nav item. Then you would have to close it off. Coming with an href, give that a target. We'll have a target of blank, of course, and a class of nav link. And then we have to close this off, and we'll have to add something. Let's say we have albums, contact about. Let's go with store. Let's save that. Go back, and we have another item called store. Album, store, contact about. I'm going to remove this active from this item. I'm going to add it here. Active, save. And notice store is slightly highlighted and the others aren't. That's all the active class does. Simple, convenient. And instead of going back and removing stuff, I'm just going to hold on Control Z and let everything go back into place. Let's close off the nav section. Really simple. The next thing we have is our Jumbotron. What is a Jumbotron, you ask? It is simply a section of text in Bootstrap. Nothing more. Don't complicate things, guys. All you need to know is a text section in Bootstrap. We have a H1, a paragraph, a horizontal line, another little paragraph, and 2 buttons. Let's get into it. The first thing we do is create a div class of Jumbotron. Let me just code this from scratch. So div.jumbotron. Should I add? I'm just going to add some padding top. Let's go padding top of 2. I'm going to give another div dot. Let's go Jumbo. I'm just going to. This is not something from Bootstrap. This is something I added myself. Jumbo container. And now we can begin. H2 dot display 4. A paragraph dot lead. A horizontal line. Let's go show you another paragraph. Let's add one paragraph dot lead, and we'll leave the buttons. Again, I am in VS Code, so I have Emmet abbreviations. If you are in different code editor, you may have to type these out in full, and that's fine. If not, just download VS Code. It makes things much easier and much more efficient. So let's go Jumbotron. Should I add them? Just add padding bottom of 2 as well. Another Jumbotron. Lorem 10. It's Emmet. It's in VS Code, so I can use Emmet abbreviation of just type in lorem and the number of lorem words I want. In this case, I want 10, and if I just hit enter, it pops out. This HR here just creates a horizontal line that will span the width of the container. Let's just go in and say lorem. Let's go lorem 15. That's fine. Let's save. And we have another Jumbotron section right here. Another Jumbotron, lorem ipsum dolem, blah blah blah, a horizontal line, and a little more. That's it. Really simple. You type in div class and give it. You type in div, give it a class of Jumbotron. Now you may be confused with what this is: PT2 and PB2. Now again, in the back end of Bootstrap, margins, padding, all of these stylings have already been done. So instead of you going into your style sheet and adding padding within, instead of adding your classes here and adding padding like this, you can just go into your HTML and add the padding classes right here. PT-2 gives padding to the top, PB-2 gives padding to the bottom, P left will give padding to the left, PR will give padding to the right, and if you just use P dash and with a number from 1 to 6, that will give padding equally all around. Now I of course don't want this, so I'm going to remove it. I'm going to save that, and I am back. Now let's close up the Jumbotron and let's open up the album cards. And so Bootstrap works with Flexbox. If you are familiar with Flexbox, you know it works with rows and containers. A row is a horizontal line and a column is a vertical line. That's all we need to know to learn Flexbox. But yeah, so the first thing we do is create a container fluid, or you can create a container. Remember, container will span the 100% width. A container fluid will not span 100% width. That's it. And then we create a div with a class of row. You can add margin bottom or whatever styling you wish to have, and you don't need an ID. The reason I give an ID is because in my nav bar right here I have this href of albums pointing to my card section. You don't need to do that, but if you want to, by all means feel free. Play with the code, have fun. So yeah, and then all we have to do is create a card. So how do we create a card? Well, first we need a div to contain the card, and it's going to be a column. On a small screens it will take up 12, and on medium screens it will take up 4. Anything else do I think I need? Should I give margin top of 4? Okay. And then we have to go and say what we're creating. Well, we want a class of card, so that Bootstrap knows we are creating a card. The first thing on our card is an image. I don't really care about having an alt, but obviously if you're actually creating one in development reasons, create an alt. Then a div.class body, or card body, and then we have an h3, or you can have h1, h2, h3, h4. It's completely up to you. The first one we can do is card title. Next one being p.card text, and then we have an h.button class. So in Bootstrap, instead of actually creating a button using the button tag, you can create a button using the a tag, which will create a link button, which is simply a button, which is also a link. And then for styling, you can say something like button light or button warning, whatever you really want. WRN, ING. Then button size. So button, let's go large. All are medium, so I'll keep it as medium. Now, if I add an extra card, it's probably going to break my layout. But anyway, instead of just coding stuff, I'm going to copy this right here, and I'm going to paste it. Right, so this is the same exact card I have, and let's see what happens. And there we go. I have 7 cards and a lot of blank space here. So this happened because I'm trying to add okay, wait. Bootstrap has 12 columns. 4, 8, 12, 4, 8, 12. So obviously this card here had no space, so it ended up getting pushed to a new row. That's fine. If you had 9 cards, it would take up the remaining space. But I'm just working with 6. The reason I added another card is just to show you guys how it works. And there we go. The exact same card created twice. Now you may notice that these cards have a slight blue border that makes it look really cool. Where did the border come from? Well, that's my own style sheet. We'll get into it in a while. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to remove this entire card because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to save. And look, out of thin air, our problem gets solved. Well, that is the magic of Bootstrap, Flexbox, HTML, and CSS. Okay. So I'll go over this one more time. Create a container or a container fluid. Up to you. What's the difference? A container spans 100% width. A container fluid doesn't. PB3. This adds padding bottom. Then you create a row. Why are we creating a row? Well, it's then we can add styling on smaller and larger screens. That's the only reason why we are doing it. Now, here I have column small 12. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. Let's go back into our web page, go to developer tools, and notice on small screens, for some reason my cards are only taking up the full portion. That's what column small 12 does. It's saying that on small screens take up the full 12 columns. But the moment you are on larger screens, you can take up, let me just open this thing completely. You can take up 4 instead of 12. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So we get 3 cards per row. Excuse me. We get 3 cards per row. And remember, we do not code 6 cards. We code 1 card, copy and paste the rest. If you were using Django, you could use a for loop and just have something like, instead of delve in the hallway, you could have like object dot title, and that would render it out. But this isn't Django, of course. This is a simple web page, so I coded it in full, and I have 6 cards. Let me go ahead and close this. Let's close this section. Yeah. The next thing we have is a footer. Now this is a lot. This actually took me quite a while to code. It's not only my own code. I actually got some stuff from I don't remember where, but I'm pretty sure I copied some stuff. But anyway, this is still created using Bootstrap. What did I copy? I think I copied the button. No. I copied the form. This is the part that I did not do. Yep. But anyway. So we have a simple footer here with a background dark, a text center, which is similar to going into CSS and saying text align center. Text white for the coloring of the text. Let me just go into this and change something. What can I change? Text center. Save that. Yeah, it wouldn't work. That makes sense. Okay. Anyway, let's get into it. So we have a footer right here, our opening footer tag, and a closing footer tag. Where are you? Right here. Then we have a div, because we just want a container, no classes on it right now. So, container padding 4, a section class, a form action. The form action, that is where the data will be sent to. We don't have anywhere to send the data to, so we can leave it blank or just add a hashtag. I prefer leaving it blank, but if you want to add a hashtag, that's completely okay. Then we have a div class of row. You know what that is. What is deflex? Deflex means display flex. It turns your items into flex items. It's like going into your style sheet and saying display flex, and all items become flex items. But in Bootstrap, you just add the class deflex. That's all. And some more styling. I'm not going to go over this because it is quite a bit. You can happily go into my source code and just copy it. And right here I have the image credits by whoever I used, and I have them right here. Something cool you can do is if you say whatever tag you use and you use a and sign, where are you? And say copy. Let's save this. You create a copyright sign, this right here. Let me just remove that. Let's go into our style sheet. The first thing, background color of my body is hashtag 12112. 121212. Yep, 121212. It's this color right here. It's not exactly black, it is a shade of black. I really enjoy it. It looks cool. It's similar to my nav bar. That's all I have on the body. On the nav bar I also have background color similar. It's also a shade of black. Then on nav bar nav I have my font size set to large. Notice these are quite large. That's self-explanatory. On my Jumbotron I have my text line of center, a background color of shade of white. In my Jumbotron container I have my max width of 80%. The reason I didn't want 100% is I'm just not a fan of it. There's too much eye movement. You have to look from the left of the screen right to the end of the right side of the screen. So 80%. Margin 0 auto. This is for centering. That right there. Then on my H2 I have a text transform uppercase. What does this do? Notice all my devil in the hallway. I left the brackets there. So where are you? Devil in the hallway. Let's remove that and remove that and save that. So yeah, now Jumbotron, the H2 right here, if you notice, all of it is uppercase. So instead of you going into your HTML and typing everything in uppercase, you can type it all in lowercase, actually a mix of lowercase and uppercase if you're crazy, and just go into your CSS and add the text transform uppercase, and it will turn all your text into a uppercase or capitalized. Well, it'll capitalize each letter. I have font size set to 3 rem, so it's large, bold, and it's out there so you see it. I have font family of Oswald sans serif, got it from Google Fonts, and a color of black. The lead section, this is the paragraph section of my cards, this right here. Those are leads. Font size set to 1.5 rem because it's not large paragraph, so I want the words to stick out. I have font family of Barlow condensed. Again, I got some Google fonts because I think it looks cool. On my lead button, I have a Oswald font family. These right here, all songs, all songs, all songs. On the row, I have no styling, but I just left it in case I do add some styling in the future. A background color of a shade of white and a border of I think it's teal. Well, not really teal, but a shade of teal. I'm assuming. I can't really tell. To me, it just looks like light blue. And some more basic styling right here. Well guys, that was a video. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's really simple. If you have any issues, hit me up on LinkedIn, Instagram, or in my YouTube comment section below. Drop a like if you like the video. Thank you so much.